It wasn't an eclipse. It wasn't a storm. It was locusts. Billions, maybe even trillions of them. The largest insect swarm in recorded history. So vast that scientists compared it to a moving continent. Descending on the American Great Plains in the summer of 1875, it came to be known as Albert's Swarm, and it changed the American landscape forever. So, let's set the stage. In the 1870s, thousands of settlers were moving west, encouraged by the Homestead Act. Families planted crops across Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, and the Dakotas, hoping for a fresh start and a good harvest. But the plains were harsh. Droughts, dust, and unpredictable weather already tested these new farmers. Then came the locust. The Rocky Mountain locust was native to the region, and occasional outbreaks were known. But in 1875, something extraordinary happened. On a hot summer day, farmers in southern Nebraska looked up and saw what they first thought was a storm cloud on the horizon. But instead of rain, the cloud was alive, a buzzing, churning mass of insects stretching as far as the eye could see. This swarm swept across the plains, devouring everything in its path. Crops, grass, even fence posts and leather saddles. Stories tell of locusts eating laundry off the line, chewing through harnesses, and even gnawing on wooden tool handles. Imagine planting your wheat, watching it grow for months, only to have it stripped bare in minutes. For many families, that's exactly what happened. Enter Albert Child. He wasn't a farmer. He was a physician in Nebraska with a fascination for meteorology. Watching the swarm, Child decided to measure it scientifically. He recorded how fast the swarm moved and how long it took to pass overhead. Then, multiplying speed by duration, he came up with a shocking estimate. The swarm covered 198,000 square miles. To put that in perspective, that's larger than California, over twice the size of Great Britain. A living cloud of insects that big is almost impossible to imagine. High-end estimates suggested the swarm weighed over 27 million tons and contained some 12.5 trillion locusts, enough to outnumber every human being on Earth today by around 1,500 to 1. Guinness World Records speculates it was the largest concentration of animals ever. For the settlers, it was devastating. Fields were stripped, winter food stores were gone, the swarms laid eggs in the soil, ensuring the next year could be just as bad. Many families had to abandon their farms entirely. Some relied on relief committees and church donations to survive. Others, in desperation, tried bizarre tactics, like setting prairie fires or dragging ropes across fields to crush the insects. Nothing worked. The psychological toll was just as heavy. Imagine hearing the constant drone of billions of wings, watching your hard work vanish in minutes, and knowing there was nothing you could do. And here's the strangest twist. The Rocky Mountain locust, the insect responsible for the largest recorded swarm in history, is now extinct. By the early 1900s, the locust population collapsed. Scientists believe that as settlers plowed the river valleys where the locusts laid their eggs, they unknowingly destroyed the breeding grounds. By the 1950s, the Rocky Mountain locust was gone. So, the greatest insect army ever assembled by nature simply vanished. And today, it exists only in stories, in a few museum specimens frozen in ice, and in the record Albert Child wrote down that summer of 1875. Albert's swarm is a reminder of how small humans can feel in the face of nature's power. In the 19th century, a single species of insect could wipe out whole communities, and then, just decades later, disappear forever. It's history at its weirdest, the largest swarm of living creatures the world has ever seen, calculated by a curious doctor with a notebook and a stopwatch.